Okay, here's our video on clearing the fractions, and just makes life a lot easier if you know how to do this. So right now, what you want to do, the step here, is you want to find, well, first of all, anytime you have a integer or a whole number, just put it over 1. And so we have a 5, 4, and a 1 here in the denominator, and you want to find the LCM. You want to find the lowest common multiple of 5, 4, and 1, and that's 20. 5 goes into 20, 4 goes into 20, and 1 goes into 20. So I'll put a little 20 up here on all the numbers. And then 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 1 is 4. Minus 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay. 1 goes into 20 20 times, and 20 times 5 is 100. This is how we cleared the fractions. And so now we can say 4 minus 15 plus 100. So 4 minus 15 is a minus 11 plus 100. And that answer would be 89. So our answer will be 89, and then just bring back the LCM 20th. So that's our answer. That's an improper fraction. That's a perfectly good answer. If you had to simplify that, we know how to do that. What would you get? Well, 20 goes into 89 4 times. That's 80. And there's 9 left over. So if we had to simplify that. So again, what we did is we found the LCM. That was the first step. We found out it was 20. 5 went into 20 4 times. 4 times 1 was 4. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 goes into 20 20 times, and 20 times 5 was 100. And we just added. We got 89, and we brought the 20 down. So let's do another one. Okay, what if we had, make another one over here. What if we had 1/7 minus 3/4 minus 1/2 and minus 6? What do we do there? Well, again, find the common denominator. We want to make that 6 over 1. So the common denominator here, the lowest common denominator, is 28. 7 goes into 28, 4 goes into 28, 2 goes into 28, and we know 1 does too. So 7 goes into 28 4 times. 4 times 1 is 4. Then we have 4 goes into 28 7 times. 7 times 3 is 21. 2 goes into 28 14 times. 14 times 1 is 14. And now we have 1 goes into 28 28 times, and 28 times 6 is 168. Okay, now we know we're going to have 28 in the denominator. Let me bring it over here. 28 is going to be in the denominator. And we just do our operations up here. So 4 minus 21, right? We have a negative 17 minus 14. You got to remember, keep change here. So this will be minus 17 plus minus 14. Remember, keep change. Right, so that will give us a negative 31 minus 168, which again will be a minus 31 plus negative 168. Take your time on that. Remember, keep change. And the final answer will have a negative 199 over 28. And you can simplify that if called upon. Otherwise, it's a perfectly good answer. What if we had variables? We can still do this with variables. Again, remember, we have a whole number here. We want to put it over 1. So here we're looking for the LCM, and the LCM is 2n. Right? N goes into 2n, 1 goes into 2n, and 2n goes into 2n. So 2n will be our denominator. So we know we're going to have a 2n as a denominator. So n goes into 2n twice, because 2 times n is 2n. So 2 times n is 2n. So n goes into 2n twice, and 2 times 1 is 2. Put a 2 there. 2n goes into 2n once. 1 times 3 is 3. And 1 times n is n. So we have that. And 1 goes into 2n times, and 2n times 5, we'll put a plus here, is 10n. Okay? And now remember combine like terms. We can combine the 2 and the 3 because they're constants, and we get a negative 1. And the n plus a 10n will be 11n. Now, that's our answer. So go over that if you didn't understand it. Let's get one that's an equation. Same way. And it's the same way we would do linear operations. So again, we want to make sure that there's a 1 under here and a 1 under here. And what is the lowest common multiple? Right, well, 2n. So we'll put 2n up here, 2n, 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 2n. That's the lowest common multiple. Okay, so n goes into 2n twice, and 2 times 1 is 2, just like before. 2n goes into 2n once, so we'll just have 3 plus n. 1 goes into 2n times, so we'll have 10n. 1 goes into 2n times, so we'll have 24n. 2n times 12 is 24n. N goes into 2n twice. 2 times 3, we have a minus here. Remember that is 6n. So here's our equation. We can combine like terms. Let's do that before we start solving the equation. So we have a 2 minus 3. Again, it's minus 1. We know an n plus 10n is 11n. 24n minus 6n, we can combine them. That'll be 18n. Okay, now we're trying to solve for n. It's a linear equation. All right, so we want to bring this n over. So we're going to minus the 11n on this side, and it cancels. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So we're going to say minus 1 is going to equal 7n. 18 minus 11 is 7. And now we just divide out the 7 on both sides, and we have our answer. N equals negative 1/7. That's our answer. Okay, let's do one. Let's say we had something even stranger. Let's say we had 1/2 m, let's say, plus 2/3 m, and we'll say minus 2m over m. So that's something strange. But we can do this. First, we're going to clear it up to make it look a little better before we start clearing the fractions. And what you can do is, when you say a 1/2 m, you can also say m over 2. It's the same thing. You see a 2/3 m, it's 2m over 3. It's the same thing. And we have the 2m over m. So again, if you saw something like 5/8 m, well, you can just say 5m over 8. Same thing. Okay, so now we're looking for the lowest common multiple. I'll use a red pen. 2, 3, and m, it's going to be 6m. Okay, so well, 2 goes into 6m 3m times, right? Because 3m times 2 is 6m. 3m times 2 is 6m. So 2 goes into 6m 3m times. So let's rewrite this. I'll bring this down a little more. I'll use a red pen up here. So 2 goes into 6m 3m times, and 3m times m is 3m squared. So we have a plus sign. 3 goes into 6m 2m times, because 3 times 2m is 6m. 2m times 2m is 4m squared. We have a minus. M goes into 6m 6 times, and 6 times 2m is 12m. Okay, so this is what we have, and we can combine the squares. We can't combine the 12m. So if we combine the squares, we'll be left with 7m squared minus 12m. That's if So we can even have variables mixed with the constants. By the way, when you have your 7m squared minus 12m, don't forget to put the LCM back in, which was 6m. Okay, and if you want to see if you're correct on this, just make m any number. So for example, let's say we had m is 2. So we go back to the original question. Here, if we make m 2, we have 2 over 2 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4, so we have 4 over 3. 2 times 2 is 4, and m is 2, so b 4 over 2 is 2. And if you do the operations here, you get 0.3 repeating. Now the same is when we simplified it. We had 7m squared minus 12m. So if we put a 2 in, we're going to have 28, because 2 squared is 4, 7 times 4 is 28. Minus 12 times 2, which is 24, and we get 4. And we brought back the LCM, we get 4 over 12, and 4 over 12 is the same thing, 0.3 repeating. Okay, so that's clearing the fractions. Great job.